So let's start part 3 of section 2, decentralizing the blockchain. Here we will make two requests. First one to connect any new nodes to our decentralized network, and second one to replace the chain in any node that is not up to date on the blockchain. Let's start with connecting new nodes. I will give the route /connect_node and the method is post. Now we need to define connect node function. It will take no argument, and so first step will be exactly like we did for add transaction. We're gonna get the request of posting a new node in the network through the getJSON function, which will return this JSON file that will contain all the nodes of our decentralized network, including the one we are connecting. So I will copy this and paste here. Now we need to connect new node to all the other nodes in the network. For that we will use add node function that we have defined in the blockchain class. This function takes address as argument, so we need to get the address of the node. Before we get the address of the node, first let's see how the JSON file look like, which contains all the nodes. So this is exactly how we're gonna store node address. We have node keys, its values as list of addresses. Now we need to get this address list. For that we can use this method. We're gonna create a variable as nodes, which will store this address list by json.get function, and the key nodes which will return the address list. Now since we have node addresses list, before going to next step, we need to check if the node variable is not an empty list. For that, if node is none, return error no node, and HTTP code 400. Now next step is simply loop over the addresses of node list and add them one by one. For node in nodes, blockchain.addNode function and pass the address of node. So now we can return the response. First create a response. Response will contain message and total nodes. Let's say message as all the nodes are now connected. The holy moly blockchain now contains the following nodes, and then total nodes, which will give the list of nodes in the blockchain. Finally, we can return the response by JSON file and the HTTP code 201 as we are making post request. Now we are done with connect chain. The remaining is replace chain request. Let's make it quickly. I will give the route /replace_chain, and here the method will be get, since we will just be retrieving information through this request. Then I will define replace chain function. This function will replace the chain with the longest chain if needed. For this we will implement this replace chain function, which will replace the chain with the longest chain if needed, and this function also return false if the chain is already longest, and true if the chain is replaced by longest chain. So first I will define a boolean variable eChain replaced, which will be true if the chain is replaced by longest chain and false if it is already the longest chain. So I will call the replace chain function. We do not need to pass any argument. Now we will generate response based on this boolean value. If each chain value is true, then response will contain message and new chain. Let's say message as the node had different chains, so the chain was replaced by the longest one. And for new chain, I will just keep the chain list, which will have been updated. Else if chain replace is false, then the response will contain message and actual chain. Let's say message all good, the chain is the largest one, and for actual chain I will keep the chain list. So our response is ready. Now we need to return it by JSONify it and the HTTP code for all OK 200 as we are making get request. Alright, so we are done with part 3, decentralizing the blockchain. Now let's see the demo how actually our blockchain work, or the holy moly blockchain.